let's move to the game that you were at. Bucs-Lions, of course. A wild environment in Detroit.
Amazing.
I mean, from
One pride, baby.
Yeah, it really was. Obviously, the Lions moving on to the NFC title game, in a game that we'll get to the Bucs in just a second. Baker Mayfield really left it all out there for them. But Matthew, and you were obviously at this one, Jahmyr Gibbs, talk about making the most of your touches in this game.
He was, he's electric. Every time he touches the ball, you're just sort of like, I get it, right? He's effective on the ground, right? He had that big 31-yard rush, which was huge. You're seeing it right here, just hitting the hole and just and then hitting the gas all the way to the end zone. Just a huge game here. He's also such a weapon in the passing game. 40 or more receiving yards in both postseason games. He's the first Detroit running back with over 100 yards from scrimmage in a playoff game since Barry Sanders. Also against Tampa Bay, also against our colleague Tony Dungy, who was the coach of the Buccaneers at the time as well. Gibbs has a little bit of Barry to him. I know that's sacrilege to say because Barry Sanders is, of course, Barry Sanders, but there's a little bit.
Yeah, it's hard to get a hand on Jahmyr Gibbs. It just feels like every movement is so different, and it leaves defenders confused. As you see here, 9 carries, 74 yards. He also caught 4 passes for 40 yards, had the touchdown as well. The Lions have really gotten him involved in the second half of this season, obviously now leaning on him in the playoffs.
And rightfully so. He's one of their best weapons on the offensive side of the ball. They want to be a running team. The strength of that team is their offensive line. Gibbs is a weapon. Ben Johnson, future head coach of my beloved Washington Commanders, he said, speaking into existence. Ben Johnson does a very creative job of getting him in space and trying to figure out different ways to get Jahmyr Gibbs the ball. It's going to be interesting to see how high we rank and how high he gets drafted next year, Jahmyr Gibbs, especially if Johnson does move on to a head coaching job, which is widely expected, and assuming they bring David Montgomery back or somebody like him.
Yeah, I think Montgomery will be there.
I do
so
too.
You're just dealing with that kind of work share.
That's the thing, because Gibbs on talent, he might already be a top 5 running back in the sport, and if they just were to give him more of a work, he could be the number 1 player in fantasy next year. That's not within the realm of outcomes for a lot of people, but he would be on that type of list. He was magnificent, and it was against a really good rushing defense as well in Tampa Bay. Also, shout out to a friend of the show, Craig Reynolds, who they gave the ball to in the biggest spot of the season, and Uncle Craig delivered with a little tutty.
Yeah, exactly. And when we say friend of the show, you're like, well, I don't remember a Craig Reynolds interview. And the fact of the matter is you're right. We've never actually interviewed Craig Reynolds. But Penn State Blake claims to be very close friends with Craig Reynolds. And we tend to believe this, and I'll tell you why, for 2 reasons why. Number one is, if you're going to brag about being friends with somebody and make it, you're probably not picking Craig Reynolds to make it up, although it could be genius. He could be playing chess while we're playing checkers. No one's
going to believe it.
Right. If I said I was, best friends with Amon-Ra St. Brown, they might be like, really, dude? But saying I'm Craig Reynolds, no one's really going to push the envelope, dig deep into that one.
How do you fact check that?
Yeah, how do you, fact check that one? But have we ever gotten an exclusive interview with Craig Reynolds? We have not. It's weird. We have gotten an exclusive interview with Amon-Ra St. Brown.
That's true.
With Deebo Samuel, with Raheem Mostert, with Mark Andrews, with George Kittle, some CeeDee Lamb, some of the biggest stars of the NFL. We can't seem to get Craig Reynolds on the show.
Yep. Completely unrelated, but I just wanted you guys to know that I'm actually great friends with Trey Palmer. But we haven't had him on yet, but I will text Trey and try and get him on the show.
That would be amazing. I personally am I'm best friends with Patrick Mahomes. Now, he would not admit that. He likes to keep it secret, our relationship secret. But trust me,
it's a secret.
Me and Patty, we're tight. We're boys.
It's odd you weren't in the suite last night.
Yeah.
Quite the suite.
It was quite a suite.
The underrated star of that suite was Pat Mahomes Sr., standing right for Mets legendary relief pitcher.
Yeah.
Just sitting there sipping his Bud Light. He kind of turned around when the girls were just going insane and just kept drinking his beer. Then you have Jason Kelce screaming. It was a wild contrast all around in that suite.
Legend. And you had Donna Kelce there, and you had the whole
looked fun.
The whole mishpucha.
Yeah. It's just odd you weren't there. You're best friends with Pat Mahomes.
I had it in my game in Detroit, so I was instead in a suite with Damien. And Dev McCourty and Jason Garrett and the rest of the Football Night in America crew. Here you go. There's Jason Kelce getting out of the suite, shirtless, drinking a beer.
Tim's and
fantastic.
sweats. Incredible
Tracksuit
outfit. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm more impressed by the leap
Yeah, he's got
back
this
into the
real
suite.
leap.
I
It
mean,
was that was pretty good. What do you think Jason Kelsey does
now.
next year? No, is he into broadcasting?
He'll be great in media.
yeah, I mean, this
Yeah.
podcast is already
it's
a
huge.
massive success.
But like, is he going to be a game call? Is he going to call a game? Is he going to be in a
Pre-game
studio?
show.
Is he going to like
Be an eyebrow model.
Right. What's he going to? He can do it. World's his oyster.
It really is.
probably
No.
a pre and post game on one of the national
I feel like he's one of the
primetime games.
rare people that has 100% approval rating
Yes.
as well. Like, how can you not like Jason Kelsey?
offensive
There's some people do not like. There are some people who don't like Travis Kelsey, which also I don't understand too. Like,
They're
Travis
jealous.
Kelsey seems like the most likable person in the world. Like, what's your problem?
They don't like Travis Kelsey because they're jealous.
Yes.
He should not be that good looking, that successful, that nice, and also get Taylor Swift.
Yes.
Like there's like there's this section of the Swifties that are highly protective of their queen, which I understand. Like, I'm a Swiftie as well, but I want her to find love, and she seems to have found it with Travis. So God bless. Hope those kids, hope they get together. Hope they get married. Hope they have a billion kids. Hope they have a wonderful life together. But there is a section, I think, that are angry.
Yes. I like it. The queen. It's like
Yeah,
a
no
kind
one's
of
good enough.
spider insect community.
No one's good enough for her.
No. That's
Yeah.
fair.
Yeah.
It's not a bad.
All right, somehow
It's
back
fair.
to this game.
Yeah,
I don't
Jared-
even know.
Jared
how.
Goff?
Yeah, it's so Amon-Ra
Anyway.
St. Brown, 14 targets in this game.
So brutal. He was my best bet for this game. Like, and it didn't matter what the line was on Amon-Ra. It kept going up, throughout the week. But I was just like, he's my ride or die. I started the season. The very first episode of Football Night in America this year was me declaring Amon-Ra St. Brown my ride or die at the Hall of Fame game. And so I'm like, last game of the season, I got to go out with Amon-Ra St. Brown. So I took the over on 91.5. Again, he got 14 targets.
Right, it was all there.
Great matchup. Bucks' second most slot yards are allowed over the regular season. You'd figure that Amon-Ra would just get a ton of looks. He did get a ton of looks. Only finishes with 77, so he's 14 yards short. So my Barry's bet for the year finished 14-8 on the season.
Very strong.
And I'm like,
Profitable.
what? Yeah, profitable, very profitable. And you know what? I was like, if I'm going to go down with
Yes.
a ship, I'm going down with Amon-Ra. Who we
Yeah,
kidding?
exactly right. Just a little note to tuck away for next year. Whenever the Lions play a blitzing defense, it is just all Laporta and St. Brown. That's
Right.
all it goes to. When they played the Bucks back in Week 6, those guys combined for 29 targets. On the weekend, they combined for 25 targets. Like, it's all Laporta and St. Brown against the blitz.
It was amazing going back to Ben Johnson, knowing in this game how weak the Bucks are in the slot. They had Amon-Ra obviously in the slot, and the Bucks dedicated so much attention to stopping him. Sam Laporta was succeeding playing out wide.
Yeah, he's a
Which
wide
is
receiver.
something he did do at Iowa.
Yeah.
Nobody cares because college tight end.
Yeah.
But you see it in a divisional round, and it was a success. He had 9 catches on 11 targets.
Seems like his knee's okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Or, something's getting through.
So I'll just tell you guys this. My updated top 50, way too early top 50 for 2024 is available now on rotoworld.com. Of course, I'm a company man. My number one tight end in fantasy next year, Sam Laporta.
Yeah.
I'm with
Am
you
I
on
crazy
that.
on that?
Not
No.
at all. Not
I
at
mean,
all.
it's kind of, who else is Mark Andrews? Like, I don't
Mark
trust
Andrews or Kelsey would be the other considerations
No, I'd
there, and
take
I
Laporta
think it's
over both of them.
Laporta.
Yep.
Right.
I think it's
It's a small field, and he's right. He'd be right at the top of it.
Yeah.
Be curious
So-
to see who they end up having to replace Ben Johnson with. But this offense, nothing's changing.
And they're
with
going to keep the
Laporta's
same
usage.
offense,
Right.
would be my expectation.
Somebody
They'll
in-house
promote like a
or-
quarterback's coach or something like that.
They should bring in Brian Johnson. Just another B. Johnson and another guy who replaces a revolutionary OC. You can replace the Steichen, fails, and you replace Ben Johnson.
Absolutely
fails.
not. Small, yeah, absolutely not. I refuse to let that happen as somebody who has Amon-Ra St. Brown on that same dynasty team that
Right.
traded for Diggs and has Kupp and McCaffrey. Last thing here, just small little weird note, but prior to just coming on the show, the Lions have signed Zach Ertz, and it's notable just because he's a big famous name. They lose Brock Wright to injury, which I assume this is kind of tight in depth with Sam Laporta. He's got the brace on, but
He'll be out
How-
there.
Why not?
Yeah.
how quickly can Zach Ertz get up to speed?
Well, he's probably only going to play 10, 15
Right,
snaps.
Right,
you
they'll
would
get
think.
him like just
Yeah, and
a
he'll just run-
package, yeah.
Yeah, he'll be out there, and I mean, it's a good move. Why not?
Why not?
Right, once again, Laporta could be one hit from missing more time again, and Ertz is a vet that's still playing at a good level when he's healthy.
Yep.
Good
Yeah.
enough level as a backup tight end.
Yep.
So-
Just Quickly on the Tampa Bay side, I thought Baker Mayfield played really well.
Yeah.
I know he had a couple of back-breaking picks, but really good for Baker to have kind of his moment this season, really. These past couple of weeks, looks like he'll get franchise tagged, and I think it doesn't bode great for the Lions the way that he was able to march them down the field repeatedly, particularly if Deebo Samuel is back. I suspect the Niners are going to have some success.
While my best bet for the game did not hit, my parlay actually did, and it was all Baker-based. To your point, I had Baker over in the passing yards. And one of the points, to your point about the Lions secondary, one of the points I made was like the Lions have given up over 300 yards passing in 4 straight games, now 5 with Baker. But going to the game, they've given up in 4 straight, including to Nick Mullins twice.
Yes.
Right? You know, so
should have been our clue.
Right? And so I took Baker over the passing yards. I actually moved Mike Evans up. I think his receiving prop was 71.5. I took an alt line at 80. I actually moved that up. I took the over there and under on an alt line of Rachaad White. Rushing, and so that all cashed. So my parlay cashed. So you're welcome, America. Like
plus 300.
Plus 300, and I mean that's like 3 straight in the playoff games. So
plus 300, pretty good. Somebody on this desk actually found a way to top that, though. This game was a bit of a cash cow for the fantasy football happy hour. Listen in.
So I'm taking a same-game parlay, Matthew,
Whoa.
in Bucks Lions, and there's 4 components to it, 4 legs. It's Lions minus 6.5, Jared Goff over 278.5 passing yards, Jameson Williams over 34.5 receiving yards, and Rachaad White under 55.5 rushing yards. And you know why I like this one, Matthew? Yeah. Because it already happened back in week 6 when these two teams played. This hit, all of these legs hit. The Lions blew out the Bucks, and that was in Tampa Bay. And the story behind this is that the Bucks' pass defense gets lit up by Jared Goff. The Bucks are in a throw script themselves, so Rachaad White's not running the ball, and Jared Goff connects deep with Jameson Williams at least once, and the Lions blow them out at plus 800.
That is just for you of keeping track at home. I'm going to let you do this math. You don't have to do this math for you. Plus 800, that's better than plus 300.
It is. Yeah. Just a little bit.
Significantly better odds. Yes. Well done, Jay. Great call by you. Listen, couple of dicey ones.
Needed every last
I mean,
yard.
right. James Williams over 34.5. He gets 35. Lions cover the 6.5. That easily could have gone the other way.
2 point goes the other way.
Right. The 2 point, the other goes the other way as well. The Rachaad White, you'd actually lost this bet, and then he lost some yards, and then you win this bet.
Yeah, just insane. Also, Jared Goff was no lock to go over 278.5 either.
Yeah.
He just squeaked over there. And so, look, unfortunately, some people, the Lions, they moved around a little bit. Williams actually came down a bit. Rachaad White came down too. So not everyone would have got that, but that's why you got to get in. That's
why you watch us live and bet it as soon as Jay says it.
Yeah.
Watch the show on Peacock. Really well done from both of you guys on the same game parlays.
Hey, it's Matthew Berry from NBCSports.com and RotorWorld.com, and I want to thank you so much for watching whatever it is you just watched, or if nothing else, being too lazy to click out of the autoplay after this video started, after whatever it is you actually wanted to watch finished. But now that you're here, I'd like to take a moment here to ask you respectfully now, okay? I'm asking you respectfully to subscribe to the NFL on NBC YouTube channel. You'll get the latest RotoWorld fantasy news headlines, all sorts of great shows, including my own Fantasy Football Happy Hour. So go subscribe now. Again, I'm asking respectfully.